During a difficult pregnancy, I trusted my husband to pay our bills. He used the money to fund his side chick's boutique. "You can't even stand on your own feet," she texted me. Why would he stay? I waited in silence, knowing he signed the lease under my company and I never thought I'd be that woman. You know the one. The woman lying in bed, too sick to get up, while her husband runs the show. That wasn't supposed to be me. My name's Erica. I'm 34, living in Charlotte, North Carolina. I run a small online business selling handmade jewelry, nothing big, but it pays the bills. Or at least, it did. When I got pregnant with our first baby, I was so excited. Darius, my husband, seemed happy too. At first. But the pregnancy hit me like a truck. I had hyperemesis gravidarum, severe morning sickness that left me bedridden. I couldn't eat, I couldn't work, I couldn't even stand for long without throwing up. I dropped weight fast. There were days I lay on the bathroom floor, crying, just trying to breathe through the nausea. I felt like my body wasn't mine anymore. Darius said not to worry. "I'll take care of everything, babe," he told me. "You focus on the baby. Let me handle the bills." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. So I handed over access to the business account. I showed him how to pay the suppliers. I let him take over the bills. The mortgage, utilities, car payment, all of it. He seemed to step up. But I should have seen the signs. I'd hear him whispering in the other room late at night. I figured it was work stuff, he's in sales, always on the phone. I didn't question it. I couldn't. I was too sick to even keep my eyes open most nights. Then the late notices started showing up. I'd get emails from suppliers saying I hadn't paid them. I asked Darius, and he'd wave it off. "Relax, Erica. I'm handling it. The bank's just slow. Don't stress the baby over it." I told myself he was right. Stress was bad for the baby, and I already felt like I was hanging by a thread. Then one day, out of nowhere, I got a text. It wasn't from Darius. It was from an unknown number. The message said, "You can't even stand on your own feet." Why would he stay? There was a picture attached. It was Darius, sitting in a boutique I'd never seen before. His arm was around a woman, tall, light-skinned, long braids, wearing a tight dress. They were smiling. He looked happy. Too happy. I felt my stomach drop. I stared at that text for a long time. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. I was 7 months pregnant. I was exhausted. I was sick. And now I was seeing proof, undeniable, in-my-face proof, that my husband wasn't just failing to pay the bills. He was cheating. And it wasn't just any cheating. I went into detective mode, even though my body was barely holding on. I pulled up the business account. I saw charges that didn't make sense. Payments to suppliers I didn't know, high-end fabric stores, a payment to a graphic designer, invoices for boutique decor. And then the worst part, I found a lease agreement. For a boutique space downtown. The lease was under my company's name. Darius had signed it using my business as the guarantor. He was funding this woman's boutique with my money. I felt sick in a way that had nothing to do with the pregnancy. This woman, whoever she was, knew it, too. That text was meant to break me. And I almost let it. But as I sat there, staring at the lease papers and those bank statements, something inside me changed. I realized Darius thought I was weak. He thought I was stuck. But he forgot one thing. That lease? It was in my company's name. The business? Mine. He might have signed the papers, but legally, I had the power. I didn't respond to that text. I didn't say a word to Darius. I didn't scream, cry, or demand an explanation. I sat in silence, waiting. Because they didn't know what I knew. And they didn't know what I was about to do. I kept quiet for days. Darius acted like nothing had happened. He'd kiss my forehead before leaving for work, tell me he loved me, and then head out for hours, probably straight to her boutique. I knew what I needed to do. First, I called the leasing office. I pretended to be an assistant from my own company, asking for a copy of the lease agreement, just for records, I said. The woman emailed it over. I stared at the PDF, my hands gripping the phone so tight my knuckles turned white. His signature was there, but the company name was mine. Legally, I was responsible. And the worst part? They were behind on payments. The boutique was already in default by 2 months. If the lease was broken, they'd come after me. The woman, her name was Tasha, I found out, had been posting on social media like she was the next big thing. Pictures of the boutique, new inventory, grand opening coming soon. She even posted a picture of Darius holding a bottle of champagne in the shop, with the caption, "Built this together 2 hearts #power couple." I felt like I was going to vomit. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call Darius and curse him out. I wanted to tell her to keep her hands off what was mine. But I didn't. Because I knew if I lost it now, I'd lose everything. So I waited. Darius was still using the joint account. I let him. Every time he made a withdrawal for business expenses, I documented it. Screenshots, bank statements, all of it. I went to my OB appointment alone. The doctor told me I was measuring small, that the baby was under stress. I nodded and kept quiet, even though I wanted to cry. When I got home that day, I sat down and did something I hadn't done in weeks. I called a lawyer. Her name was Meredith. She listened as I told her everything. How I'd been bedridden, how Darius took over the bills, how the boutique lease was under my business, how he was spending my money on her. I expected her to sound shocked, but she didn't. She just said, "Okay, let's get to work." She explained how I could dissolve the lease. How I could file for divorce and protect my business assets. How I could sue for marital waste since Darius was spending joint funds on his affair. It was like a switch flipped in my brain. I wasn't stuck. I wasn't helpless. I was angry. And I had options. Meanwhile, Darius was getting bolder. One night, I heard him in the living room, whispering into the phone. I knew it was her. I could hear him laughing. So I waited until he went to the bathroom. I crept out, picked up his phone, and took pictures of his texts. And there it was. Messages from Tasha, saying, "She's just dead weight at this point. Once the baby's here, we'll figure it out." And Darius replying, "Yeah, she's not even trying. I'm the one building something. She'll see. She won't have a choice." My blood ran cold. He was planning to leave me. Take my money, build a life with her, and dump me like trash. But what Darius didn't know was that I wasn't the helpless, broken woman he thought I was. And I wasn't done. Not even close. I kept going. I kept waiting. I knew Darius thought he had it all figured out. That I was weak, bedridden, and too sick to fight back. But I was watching. Documenting. Preparing. The day I finally snapped into action was the day the boutique officially opened. I saw the post on Instagram, "Tasha's grand opening, Luxe Boutique. Thank you to everyone who made this dream possible." I sat in the car outside the boutique, watching as they celebrated inside. Balloons, champagne, Darius holding Tasha close like she was his queen. I sat there in silence, my hands on my belly, feeling my baby kicking beneath my skin. That's when I made the calls. First to the leasing office. I told them I was terminating the lease under the clause for non-payment. I had the paperwork ready, signed, and notarized. Then I called the suppliers, my suppliers, and informed them that any outstanding orders placed by Luxe Boutique were no longer authorized by my company. I sent out legal letters to every vendor Tasha had been bragging about, warning them of pending legal action if they tried to collect from my business. And then I froze all the business accounts. Every dime left. Gone from their hands. Tasha's boutique was dead in the water before she could even sell a single item. Darius came home that night, and I'll never forget the look on his face. "Erica, what the hell is going on? The accounts are locked. Tasha's orders are getting cancelled." I looked at him, calm as ever, and said, "Oh, now you want to talk to me?" He started yelling, throwing his arms around, saying I was ruining everything. That's when I told him, "You ruined everything. You thought you could play me. Steal from me. Humiliate me. But I own this company. And you just screwed yourself." He tried to argue, tried to claim it was all for us, that I was overreacting. I told him I had pictures. Texts. Proof of the affair. Proof of the money transfers. And then I dropped the last bomb. I talked to a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce. And guess what, Darius? That boutique lease is in my company's name. The debt? That's on you. The credit hit? Yours. The legal fees? Yours. I'm suing you for marital waste, and I'm keeping the house. I'm keeping the car. I'm keeping the business. And you? You're going to have nothing. Not even her. He stood there, stunned, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. And then the real kicker. I sent a screenshot of the lease termination to Tasha, along with a note, "Hope you enjoyed playing dress up in my boutique. It's over." She lost it. Started blowing up Darius's phone. I could hear her screaming through the speaker. "What did you do? You said it was yours." He ran out the door, driving over to her, I'm sure. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. Within a week, Tasha's boutique was shut down. The building was locked, with a giant "lease terminated" sign on the door. Vendors started sending her nasty emails, demanding money. Darius's credit tanked. He couldn't get approved for anything. He tried to fight me in court, but my lawyer tore him apart. Proof of the affair, proof of the money trail, proof of the business misuse. The judge awarded me full custody of the baby, the house, the business. Darius got nothing but a pile of debt and an eviction notice from his apartment when he couldn't pay rent. Tasha? She tried to open another boutique, but no supplier would touch her after word got out about the financial mess. Last I heard, she was working at a department store, folding clothes for minimum wage. As for me, I had my baby. A beautiful, healthy baby boy. It wasn't easy. I was still hurting, still angry, still grieving the life I thought I had. But I wasn't broken. I rebuilt my business. I rebuilt my life. And every time I see Darius's name pop up in a collections notice or a lawsuit, I smile a little. Because he thought I was weak. But in the end, I was stronger than both of them. And they learned the hard way what happens when you try to play a woman who's got everything to lose. I let them think they'd won. And then I burned their world to the ground. I let the fallout roll in. Tasha's boutique wasn't just shut down, it became a public disaster. 2 days after the lease terminated sign went up, I did something I hadn't planned to do. I sent a copy of the lease termination and my legal complaint to a local business reporter. Charlotte's small business scene loves a scandal, and within a week, the story was everywhere. Side chick's boutique collapses after funding scandal. Owner used pregnant wife's business to fund extramarital affair. The story spread like wildfire. There were pictures of Tasha's boutique with the chain on the door, headlines calling Darius a con man and fraudster, and threads online tearing them both apart. Tasha tried to spin it, claiming she didn't know anything. But the texts and photos leaked. People knew. And no one believed her. The day after the article went live, Darius showed up at the house. He looked broken. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair a mess, bags under his eyes. He was holding a small box of random things, probably the last junk he had left from Tasha's boutique. He stood there, looking at me, like he was expecting something. Erica, please. I made a mistake. Let me fix it. I didn't even blink. You're trespassing, I said. Get off my property. He tried again, voice cracking. I lost everything. I stared at him. I didn't even feel pity. You lost me. That's what you lost. And I shut the door in his face. Later that week, I heard from mutual friends that Darius was couchsurfing. He'd tried to move in with a coworker, but the scandal had reached his job, too. HR pulled him in, and after reviewing the articles and the complaints from vendors, they fired him. Corporate didn't want to be associated with the mess. Tasha? She tried to sue me. Said I ruined her life. But my lawyer shut it down hard. We had proof of fraud, proof of misuse of funds, and the court wasn't going to touch her case with a 10-foot pole. She was blacklisted in the local business community. Suppliers refused to work with her. She couldn't even get a credit card, her name was dragged through the mud. A few months later, I got a tip that she'd been arrested for writing bad checks, trying to float payments she couldn't cover. Darius wasn't there to bail her out. He was too busy trying to survive. I heard through the grapevine that he tried to get a job at a car dealership. They ran his credit and background check, and turned him down. He called me once. Left a message, voice shaking. I'm sorry, Erica. I didn't mean for this to happen. I'm homeless. I have nothing. I never called him back. Because while they were drowning, I was rising. I focused on my business. I rebuilt my website, restocked my products, and started sharing my story in small business circles. Women from all over reached out, sharing their own horror stories. I got invited to speak at events. My sales doubled. Then tripled. The boutique lease default? I filed a suit for damages, and won. A $75,000 judgment. Darius was court-ordered to pay it, but of course, he couldn't. His wages were garnished. His tax returns were seized. Every dollar he tried to make was funneled into paying me back. And the best part? He still owed back child support. Because I made sure to file for everything. Custody. Child support. Alimony. Restitution for the business theft. Darius couldn't escape it. For years, I got monthly checks, small, pathetic amounts that barely made a dent. But every time I cashed one, I smiled. I knew he felt it. Every dollar was a reminder. That he lost everything. That he thought he could play me. That he thought I was weak. But I wasn't weak. I was watching. And I was waiting. And in the end, I burnt his life to the ground, and I didn't even have to lift a finger. They ruined themselves. And I made sure they paid for it. Every single day.